According to the National Electrical Code, the service mast must be at least 18 inches, which is 457 millimeters above the surface of the deck. While it's generally not recommended to block accessibility to the service mast, you might consider installing a trellis or other decorative structure around it. However, it is crucial to ensure a few things. Firstly, the trellis does not obstruct access to the mast for maintenance or repairs. Secondly, the trellis is not attached to the service mast in any way. Thirdly, there is sufficient clearance between the trellis and the mast to prevent any risk of entrapment or electrical hazards. The service mast should be located in a visible and accessible location. The service mast should be protected from damage by weather, animals, or other external factors. Electrical conduits or wires connecting to the service mast should be properly supported and secured. Electrical work should only be performed by licensed and qualified electricians. Any modifications or installations involving the service mast must comply with local electrical codes and regulations. These regulations are set in place to ensure safe and reliable electrical installations. The height requirement of 18 inches or 457 millimeters ensures that the service conductors entering the building are adequately elevated above the deck surface. This prevents accidental contact and potential damage from activities or objects on the deck. Maintaining accessibility to the service mast is vital for performing necessary maintenance, inspections, and repairs. Utility workers or electricians need to be able to reach the mast quickly and safely without having to dismantle or navigate around obstructions. Blocking access with a trellis or other structure could delay critical repairs or create hazardous situations. If a trellis is being considered, its design and placement must prioritize accessibility. It should be easily removable or have large openings that provide unobstructed access to the service mast. The trellis should never be physically attached to the mast, as this could compromise the structural integrity of the mast and create a pathway for electrical current in the event of a fault. Proper clearance between the trellis and the mast is crucial to prevent accidental contact with energized components. The minimum clearance should be sufficient to accommodate tools and equipment used for maintenance, as well as to prevent individuals from getting trapped between the trellis and the mast. In addition to height and accessibility, the location of the service mast is also important. It should be placed in a location that is easily visible from the street or driveway, allowing utility workers to quickly locate it in case of an emergency. The area around the mast should be kept clear of obstructions such as trees, shrubs, or parked vehicles. The service mast must be protected from environmental factors that could cause damage or deterioration. This includes weather such as rain, snow, and sunlight, as well as animals such as squirrels and birds. Protective measures may include using weather-resistant materials for the mast and connections, installing a bird guard to prevent nesting, and shielding the mast from direct sunlight. All electrical conduits and wires connecting to the service mast must be properly supported and secured. This prevents the wires from sagging or coming into contact with other objects, which could create a fire hazard. Conduits should be securely fastened to the building structure using appropriate hardware, and wires should be properly clamped and insulated. It is essential to remember that electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified professionals. Licensed electricians have the training and experience necessary to safely install and maintain electrical systems. They are also familiar with local electrical codes and regulations, which are designed to protect the public from electrical hazards. Any modifications or installations involving the service mast must comply with all applicable codes and regulations. This includes obtaining the necessary permits and inspections to ensure that the work is done safely and correctly. Failure to comply with these requirements could result in fines, penalties, and potential safety hazards. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your service mast is properly installed, accessible, and protected, providing safe and reliable electrical service for your home. Always prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. The 18-inch height rule is based on established safety standards that take into account potential hazards associated with decks and elevated surfaces. Decks are often used for outdoor activities such as grilling, entertaining, and relaxing. These activities can increase the risk of accidental contact with the service mast, especially if the mast is located close to the deck surface. By elevating the mast to a minimum height of 18 inches, the risk of accidental contact is significantly reduced. This height also provides adequate clearance for maintenance and repairs, allowing workers to safely access the mast without having to work in awkward or dangerous positions. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards developed by the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, to ensure the safe installation and use of electrical equipment. The NEC is updated every 3 years to reflect the latest advancements in technology and safety practices. The NEC is widely adopted by state and local governments throughout the United States, and compliance with the NEC is often required by law. In addition to the NEC, local electrical codes may also apply to service mast installations. These codes may have additional requirements or restrictions that are specific to the local area. It is important to check with your local building department to determine the applicable codes and regulations. When planning a service mast installation, it is important to consider the overall aesthetics of the property. While safety is the primary concern, it is also desirable to have a service mast that blends in with the surrounding environment. A trellis or other decorative structure can be used to conceal the service mast and make it more visually appealing. However, it is important to ensure that the trellis does not obstruct access to the mast or create any safety hazards. Trellis should be constructed of durable materials that can withstand the elements. It should also be designed to allow for easy removal or access in case of maintenance or repairs. Trellis should not be attached to the service mast in any way, as this could compromise the structural integrity of the mast and create a pathway for electrical current in the event of a fault. Proper grounding is essential for protecting electrical equipment and preventing electrical shock. The service mast should be properly grounded to a grounding electrode system, such as a ground rod or a metal water pipe. The grounding conductor should be sized according to the NEC and should be securely connected to the service mast and the grounding electrode system. Surge protection is another important consideration for service mast installations. Surge protectors can help to protect electrical equipment from damage caused by voltage surges, such as those caused by lightning strikes. Surge protectors should be installed at the service entrance and at other critical locations throughout the electrical system. Regular inspections and maintenance are essential for ensuring the continued safety and reliability of the service mast. The service mast should be inspected periodically for signs of damage or deterioration. Any damaged or worn component should be replaced immediately. The connections to the service mast should be checked to ensure that they are tight and corrosion-free. The grounding system should also be inspected to ensure that it is functioning properly. If you are not comfortable performing these inspections yourself, you should hire a qualified electrician to do so. Electrical safety is not something to be taken lightly. By following the guidelines outlined in this discussion and consulting with a qualified electrician, you can ensure that your service mast is properly installed, accessible, and protected, providing safe and reliable electrical service for your home. Remember to always prioritize safety and never attempt to work on electrical equipment unless you are properly trained and qualified. The service mast is a critical component of your home's electrical system. It is the point where electricity enters your home from the utility grid. The service mast consists of a vertical pipe, typically made of galvanized steel or aluminum, that extends from the ground or the roof to the overhead service conductors. The service conductors are the wires that connect the service mast to the utility pole or transformer. The service mast is designed to support the weight of the service conductors and to provide a weatherproof enclosure for the electrical connections. The service mast also provides a point of attachment for the grounding conductor, which is used to protect against electrical shock. The size of the service mast depends on the size of the electrical service and the weight of the service conductors. The service mast must be strong enough to withstand the weight of the conductors and to resist wind and ice loads. The service mast must also be properly grounded to protect against electrical shock. The grounding conductor should be connected to a grounding electrode system such as a ground rod or a metal water pipe. The grounding electrode system provides a path for fault current to flow back to the utility transformer, which helps to trip a circuit breaker or fuse and energize the circuit. A service mast should be inspected regularly for signs of damage or deterioration. Any damaged or worn components should be replaced immediately. The connections to the service mast should be checked to ensure that they are tight and corrosion-free. The grounding system should also be inspected to ensure that it is functioning properly. If you are not comfortable performing these inspections yourself, you should hire a qualified electrician to do so. It is important to note that electrical codes and regulations can vary depending on the location. It is essential to check with your local building department to determine the applicable codes and regulations before starting any electrical work. Failure to comply with these requirements could result in fines, penalties, and potential safety hazards. Working with electricity can be dangerous. It is always best to hire a qualified electrician to perform any electrical work. Electricians have the training and experience necessary to safely install and maintain electrical systems. They are also familiar with local electrical codes and regulations. If you are considering installing a trellis or other decorative structure around your service mast, it is important to consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation is safe and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. The electrician can help you to determine the appropriate location for the trellis, the proper materials to use, and the necessary clearances to maintain. The electrician can also ensure that the trellis does not obstruct access to the service mast or create any safety hazards. Remember, safety is always the top priority when working with electricity. By following these guidelines and consulting with a qualified electrician, you can ensure that your service mast is properly installed, accessible, and protected, providing safe and reliable electrical service for your home.